Fiji is a constellation of islands scattered across the Pacific, a nation whose story begins not with borders, but with waves. Thousands of years ago, Polynesian and Melanesian voyagers guided their canoes by stars and seabirds, carrying seeds, traditions, and faith into the unknown. When they reached the islands now called Fiji, they found volcanic mountains draped in rainforest, turquoise lagoons protected by coral reefs, and fertile valleys that would sustain generations. It was paradise, but paradise that required respect and resilience. Fiji has over 300 islands, though fewer than a third are inhabited. Viti Levu and Vanua Levu form the core of population and history, while chains like the Yasawas and Mamanukas stretch out like emerald beads. On Viti Levu, mountains soar into mist, while the Sigatoka River nourishes plains of cassava and taro. Vanua Levu feels more untamed, its coasts lined with mangroves and bays of quiet mystery. Taveuni, called the Garden Island, erupts in waterfalls and bright flowers, while its place on the 180th meridian allows visitors to stand with one foot in today and the other in tomorrow. Long before Europeans arrived, Fijians lived within the philosophy of Vanua, land, people, and culture bound as one. Villages clustered near rivers and coasts, with chiefs as custodians of balance. Fierce warriors carved weapons with artistry and launched canoes swift as arrows. Conflicts and alliances ebbed and flowed, but always within a framework of rules and rituals. Life was communal, spiritual, and deeply tied to the land and sea. European contact in the 17th and 18th centuries brought both trade and turmoil. Sailors praised Fijians as navigators, yet feared their strength in battle. Missionaries carried Christianity, which slowly intertwined with indigenous beliefs. By the mid-19th century, Fiji was a crossroads of commerce and conflict. In 1874, after years of rivalry among chiefs and outside pressure, Fiji became a British colony. To fuel the sugar industry, indentured workers were brought from India between 1879 and 1916. Life on the plantations was harsh, but families endured. When contracts ended, most stayed, and Indo-Fijians became a permanent, vital community. Today, their festivals, cuisine, and faiths enrich the cultural fabric of Fiji. Sugar shaped Fiji's colonial era, driving the economy while deepening social divides. Plantations stretched across Viti Levu's western plains, towns grew around mills, and ships carried sugar abroad. Colonial laws restricted land ownership, sharpening tensions between indigenous Fijians and Indo-Fijians. Fiji gained independence in 1970, but unity was fragile. Coups in the 1980s and 2000s exposed political fault lines, yet through upheaval the people's spirit endured, carried by tradition, kinship, and resilience. Fijian culture thrives in ritual, song, and community. The sevu-sevu, or ceremony, greets visitors with the offering of kava root, later shared in a communal bowl that dissolves barriers with its earthy taste. The meke dance weaves poetry and movement into storytelling, while the beat of the lali drum summons people to gather. Christianity brought powerful choirs, and Indo-Fijians brought tabla, Bollywood melodies, and festivals like Diwali and Holi. Cultures blend into something uniquely Fijian, where diversity is embraced in song, dance, and food. Nature is both gift and challenge. Cyclones have brought destruction time and again, yet homes are rebuilt and crops replanted with determination. Fiji's reefs remain among the world's most vibrant, home to manta rays, turtles, and brilliant corals, though they face threats from warming seas. Forests cloak mountains, and rivers cascade into pools clear as glass. Life in Fiji is lived in close partnership with the land and sea, in rhythms as old as the tides. Tourism is central to the modern economy, but Fiji is more than its resorts. Suva, the capital, hums with markets, music, and diplomacy as a hub for the Pacific. Rugby is a national passion and unifying force, with Fiji's Sevens team renowned worldwide. Victories send waves of joy across the islands, reminding the world of the strength of small nations. Children play barefoot, dreaming of carrying that legacy forward. Fiji still faces struggles. Reliance on tourism and sugar, political divisions, and the looming threat of climate change. Rising seas threaten villages, and stronger storms test resilience. Yet the spirit of Bula, a greeting that means life and health, reflects optimism that endures despite hardship. Diaspora communities abroad in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and beyond stay tied to home, sending remittances and returning with knowledge and hope. The food of Fiji tells its story with equal power. Indigenous dishes feature taro, cassava, breadfruit, and fish simmered in coconut milk. The Lovo feast, food wrapped in leaves and cooked underground on hot stones, brings entire communities together. Indo-Fijian influences add curries, dal, roti, and chutneys, while Chinese and European flavors blend into the culinary landscape. Sharing food, like sharing kava, is at the core of Fijian hospitality. Festivals brighten the calendar, Christmas and Easter with choral hymns, Diwali with lanterns glowing in the night, Holi with laughter and color, Independence Day with parades, and Hibiscus Festival with music and celebration. Everyday life feels festive too. Children playing rugby on beaches, neighbors gathering for kava, families singing at dusk. Travelers encounter Fiji's layers of time. Levuka, the colonial capital on Ovalau, still wears its 19th century architecture. Hot springs bubble in Sebato Valley, promising healing as ancient as the earth. In remote villages, canoes glide as they have for centuries, while in Nadi, planes bring visitors from across the world. Technology and tradition coexist. A smartphone charging beside a carved kava bowl, a live stream of a meke connecting village to diaspora. What makes Fiji unforgettable is not only its scenery, but its spirit. Bula is more than a greeting. It is a philosophy of life, a wish for health and joy. Strangers smile on buses, elders share wisdom, and guests are welcomed as kin. This warmth extends beyond Fiji's shores through its diaspora, which preserves language, music, and traditions abroad while always circling back home. At sunset, when the sky melts into shades of orange and purple, the Pacific reflects history as much as beauty. Voyagers once launched canoes into that horizon. Colonizers dropped anchors. Laborers crossed oceans under contract. Planes and ships still arrive carrying stories new and old. Through it all, the essence remains. Islands rising from ocean, people rising from history, culture rising from continuity. Fiji is fragile, yet strong, vulnerable to storms, yet unbroken in spirit. It is defined not by the number of its islands, but by the depth of its traditions, not by its size, but by its soul. To know Fiji is to sip kava in a circle until laughter fills the night. It is to dance a meke, cheer a rugby try, and eat from a lovo feast shared with neighbors. It is to understand that community, generosity, and joy are the true wealth of the islands. The story of Fiji is ongoing, carried forward by new generations who plant crops, learn languages, study abroad, and return home to rebuild and dream. It is found in the resilience of villages facing storms, in the sound of choirs rising at dawn, in the laughter of children playing barefoot in river shallows. Fiji is a story of ocean and island, tradition and change, hardship and hospitality, of many peoples woven into one. It began with waves and stars and continues now with hope, determination, and the enduring spirit of Bula.